Everybody. Okay, so this is my first time doing a live tutorial, so here we are. We will be going live on Mother's Creations after the 24 hours. I had to remembered I had to get it set up. Anyway, I wanted to do a tutorial on how to do a peyote stitch tube. So this is a bracelet, so I figure what we'll do is we will work on a bracelet with a magnetic clasp. I'm going to make one smaller than this. So what we'll do is I'll get started with the beginning of the peyote tube and do a little bit to kind of show you guys what we're talking about and kind of talk through things. So I've never done a tutorial before. This is new to me. I figured going live with a tutorial would be better than handwriting. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this this pattern here, and you're going to have it. So let's get started. What you're going to have is you're going to have size 10-0. You could probably get away with using delicas or whatever your favorite beads are. For me, I'm using let's see. So I'm using Beater's Paradise 10-0 check glass seed beads. So these are the beads we're using. We have two colors. This is one of the colors. The other ones is the same brand, 10-0 Beater's Paradise check glass beads. So we got a party blue, like an ocean mixed blue, and we have a silver. You can use this pattern with any colors. It's just my favorite way to use these mixed colors. So I just, pour out a nice little pile right there. If you need me to go over anything again or slow down, please let me know. Lives, I do get a little nervous with lives, so and then you can also rewind and kind of restart the video. But I will try and go as slow as I can so you guys can understand. So what I'm also using is I'm using a standard sewing needle, just a regular sewing needle. That's what I've always used. I don't have any of the long beading needles. And then also we are using Fireline. So we are going to be using Fireline. Sorry for the blurriness. I'm just trying to. And when you do this project, you want to start out with at least 1 arm length, maybe a little longer. I usually pull out 2 arm length, but for this project here, I'm going to start out with what I have already. It's leftover from the last project I did. So, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pick up my main color. So any color can be your main color. So this one has 2 colors. So we're going to pick up 9 blue and 1 silver. So let me just make sure everything's down here in the camera. So we're going to pick up 9 blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue. So we got 9 blue and 1 silver. Again, this is a peyote tube stitch, not crocheted. So I never learned how to crochet and bead. So we're going to bring these all the way down. Sorry, trying to keep it in the camera for you guys. We're going to bring this all the way down. You want to leave a tail that you can grip a hold of, so it doesn't matter how long your tail is. I personally will never use my tail when it comes to doing this. I just have my tail there to hold my project. There we go. Just trying to. There we go. All right. So now how I start the peyote tube, now that I got my 9, is I'm going to create a circle. And how I love to create my circles is I like to sew through all the beads at least twice. So try and keep this on camera. So we're going to go ahead and sew through all of the beads. So we're doing an even count. So I don't know if I explained that already. This is an even count peyote. All right. And then we just tighten it up. And then I'm just to secure the thread, I'm going to go ahead and sew through again. Trying to I'm not sure if it's blurry for you guys. Maybe if we lift that up. Okay. Let's see if I can adjust this so we can get a better view and it's not so blurry. Sorry, guys. Okay, there you go. So that's what it looks like right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew back through all of the beads again, just to secure that circle. Okay, love you, good night. Stop. No, go. My daughter's giving kisses goodnight. Okay, so anyways, we're going to sew back through all 10 beads. We're going to sew back up through all 10 beads. And this is going to create a kind of stiff circle.
The light's off and Grammy's in there. Go ahead.
So that's what we're doing right now is we're sewing back through all 10, securing that circle.
Push it again.
All right, and then I'm going to sew through. So you can, at this point, you can start wherever you want. If you want to start where you're.
And that'll be the last time.
Okay, so if you want to start right where your bead is, where your thread is coming out, you can. Okay, why is my camera having a hard time focusing?
Might be too close.
Can we up the feet?
Yeah, we can set the focus manually.
Okay, how do we do that? Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to get this. Again, my first time doing a training, so we always have hiccups the first time, right? I need help, please.
I'm coming. I was getting my bag in there.
I'm live.
I know you're live.
I don't know what you're doing.
I said I was on my way.
No, I didn't hear you. Okay, look. It'll focus and then it'll lose its focus.
See if we can set it to there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that good?
I think that's good.
Okay, let's kick that. Maybe get this up on me. Is that better?
I think so. Will you want to hop onto my live through your phone?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now that we got that taken care of, okay, so we're going to go ahead and just start with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick up one silver bead, because what's going to happen is we're going to skip this bead right here. We're not going to sew through this bead. We're going to skip through this bead, but we're going to sew through the next bead. So the silver bead I pick up is going to land right on top of this bead right here. Okay. So for those, again, what we did was we string 10 beads. We went to, you can go back to the beginning, but we stringed 10 beads and then we sewed through all 10 again from behind. And that's all at the beginning of the video. So you guys can go back and watch the replay if you're just hopping on. We're going to go ahead and continue. Okay, so I picked up my silver, and I'm going to go ahead and sew through the next bead. So this, I believe, would be bead number 2. When it comes to rows, I'm not sure, like rows and row count. That's something I never really did or practiced, was practicing keeping count of my rows. I beaded until it was the length I wanted, and then I just, ended it. Okay. Anyways, here we go. You want to make sure you pull it nice and tight too, of course. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up one of my blue colors. So we're going to grab a blue. No playing. No. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
Hello.
Give me a kiss. Thank you. Go.
Can I please feel that?
No.
It will electrocute me?
Yes. Go. Not really. Go, please. Thank you. Okay. All right, so we picked up on blue. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue in peyote stitch all the way around. So peyote stitch, the beginning is can be kind of challenging. Can sometimes may seem a little frustrating, but if you trust the process, it's going to work. It's going to work out. It's hard to trust the process, but if you trust the process, it's going to work out. Eli, please stop. So peyote stitch, you're always skipping your bead at the beginning. So we're going to skip the next bead and we're going to sew through the next bead. So you see that we skipped one bead. We're going to sew through the next bead. And then we're going to pull through and give it a nice tight tug. So you want it sitting. So this is how the beads are sitting. Is that good? Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I can see what you're doing.
Okay.
Really well.
So now we're going to go ahead and keep picking up a blue. Okay. And then we're going to skip one bead and we're going to sew through the next bead.
Right there. I think, no.
Now it's focused on the background. We're just playing with the focus, you guys, trying to get it focused onto what I'm doing.
There we go.
Onto
right
my
there.
artwork, or onto our work.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, so again, this is like the beginning round, first 2 rounds of peyote. I know that. I know this is the first 2 rounds of peyote. Please excuse any background noises as well. I don't have a office area yet, so it's okay if your work kind of looks like this at the moment. This is okay because it's going to tighten up and it's going to create this nice rounded tube look as we get further along. So we're going to go ahead and pick up another blue from our blue pile. And we're going to skip the next bead and we're going to go through the next. So we're always skipping one bead and we're going through the next. And how I can tell what bead to skip is if you look through where your string is coming out, that's the bead next to that. So this would be your next bead. So we're going to skip your next bead and go through the next. So again, we're going through every other bead. I was doing resin or I was playing with my resin earlier, so that's why my fingers kind of look glittery. Okay, so here's kind of a tricky part. So we're going to pick up the blue and we're going to start our next row. So we're going to pick up your main color and we're going to start our next row. In our next row, we're skipping a bead. So we're going to skip the next bead right here. We're going to go down to our last or first, whatever you want to call it, our last bead. And we're going to step up by going through the next silver bead. So we're going to go through 2 silvers. We should always go through 2 silvers at this point. Because that's where we started our row. That's where our row ends and starts. So we're going to go ahead and add it. And I kind of like to kind of encourage these by kind of bringing them up a little bit, but they're going to get up there naturally. Just watch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a silver bead. We're going to pick up a silver bead, so your secondary color. We're going to go through every up bead. So every bead that sits higher than your previous row. So this is kind of where I get a little confused about row counting. There's a technique to row counting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through our next up bead, which is this blue one right here. And we're only picking up 1 bead because we want this to curve up. Sorry, my hands might get in the way. I'm trying. Okay, and then you pull nice and taut. Nice and taut. Taut, tight, I don't know. Same word. And we're just going to keep doing that all the way around. So I'm going to do this with you guys. But I'm not going to go as slow. So I'm going to go through my next up bead. So you see where, and if you're lost and you're like, I'm not sure what bead to go through, this bead here we sewed through. This is our last row. This is the first row. So we're going to go through this one. This is our up bead right here. So we're going to sew through that one because we already sewed through the one that I just showed you. Again, I'm trying to keep this on camera. Okay, so we're going to keep doing our main color all the way around. We're only picking up silver at the beginning of our rows. And we're just going to continue peyote, so. So I just brace it between my fingers and I pull tight. And that's what I do with each of my rows. Everything's going to fall into place. Okay, and then here we go. We're coming up to the end of our row. So we're going through our second up bead. So what we're going to do instead of picking up a silver, because we're doing an upward spiral, we're doing a spiral with the silver, we're going to pick up 1 more blue. And we're going to go through the last silver up bead, which would be this one here, and we're going to step up to the next row. So we go through here, and you can either pull your string all the way through, or you can step up to the next row. So you go through the next 2 silvers. Sorry, guys. So next 2 silvers, you pull your string through and tighten your work. Okay. So you can see that it's starting to go diagonal. The silver started diagonal. We're starting to create a hoop. We're going to do a couple more rounds. I'm going to do a couple more rounds with you. Again, if you have any questions about like how to do this, feel free to ask. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I had something blocking my screen so I can't see. Okay, so now we're going to pick up a silver. Because what's going to happen is my silver is going to, that's my tail back there. My silver is going to land right here next to my other silver. And it's going to create that upward spiral that we want. So now we're going to go, again, we're going to go to our up beads. So this is our last row we just finished. This blue bead right here next to the silver. So now we're going to go to this next up bead right here. You see that? We went through that up bead right there. Okay. And then we pull through. And again, you're going to do this until you get the length you want. There's no right or wrong, long or short. Long or short, how long it has to be. This is one of those you have fun and use your imagination. Use your imagination on how long you want to make it. Now we're going to do blue all the way through. Okay, we're going to go, sorry guys. We're going to go blue all the way through. You can do this with odd count, even count. You can do this with as many beads as you want. You don't have to have the same amount of beads as I do. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim my tail a little bit because I don't need it anymore. I don't need that big tail. So I'm still going to leave a little bit of a tail, but I'm not going to leave as much because there we go. I need to sharpen my scissors too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep going. Okay, so now we're going to continue our peyote. So again, if you're wondering, peyote is skip one, go through the next, and it's always going to be your up bead, even if your up bead kind of is hidden. And this is good with uneven. You can use any beads. It just depends on what you want your work to look like. The finished look when you do this. So we're going to pick up a blue. And then we're going to sew through. And again, I do apologize if my fingers get in the way. But I will try and show you before I sew through. Sometimes when I do this, time just gets away from me. So again, going through, I'm just going to let my tail get hidden inside my project. That way I don't have to worry about cutting it any shorter. I don't have to worry about melting the end with a flame. So we're just going to keep going with our main color until we get all the way to our last silver. Looks like that's where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and go through. Sometimes when you pull tight the beads, you got to kind of sneak in there. And then you go through. There we go. So if you can't get through it, if you can't get through that up bead, you can go through there. And then you can just sew through that up bead because that up bead is the start of your next row. So when we get there, it's like the beginning and end of your row. You know what I mean? I've been beading since middle school. I don't know who taught me how to do peyote. I don't know I think I learned it on my own, or I could have learned it through a group I was with. So as I practice doing live tutorials with this, everything should be more sturdier and less bouncier. You can tell though. You can tell that it's starting to create that nice looking tube. So we're going to do a couple more rounds. I'm going to do a couple more rounds with you guys. And I think what we'll do is we will actually make these into earrings. So I can show you how I end this as well. So I'm not going to make them super long because I'm going to add, I think I might add a fringe or some sort of drop to the bottom side of the earring, but we're gonna make these into earrings. Okay, so we're gonna continue on with our main color. And then we're going to go through our up beads all the way through. It's peyote. We're going to peyote all the way through. So we should know what peyote is by now. There's other tutorials. If you still don't know what a peyote stitch is, there's other tutorials. You can go find those. I will create a tutorial for flat peyote. But I figure this would be a good start for me to for tutorials. So I'm going to try and keep everything on the camera while I bead through. And trying to make sure that it's not super blurry. I was debating whether I wanted to do a YouTube live or if I wanted to just do a video and upload it. But I was like, why not do a YouTube live? Mother's Creations, my business, has a YouTube page now. We're just waiting for the 24 hours before we can go live. And you know what I did? So if you find a mistake, it's really easy to just sew back through. What I did is I forgot to pick up a silver bead at the beginning here. So if you don't mind that spot there, then you can keep going and just pick up another silver bead. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through and I'm going to undo all of this I did so we can put that silver bead back on. I do that a lot, you guys. I'm only human. That's all I can say. That's my defense. I'm only human. So for those that have watched some of my shows when I was with Reveal, I am no longer with Reveal. I am my own business. So what I'm doing to undo what I've done is I'm going through the last bead I sewed through and the bead I added. And then what I'll do is after I get that, I'm going to pick up my silver bead because that's what we want is a silver right there. We're going to go through and we're going to continue to peyote. So we're going to continue doing peyote. So we always pick up one silver when we start our row. So your rule of thumb, if you're not sure when to pick up your accent color, your rule of thumb is when when you sew through your last bead, your last silver bead, and then you pick up your silver and you sew through the next blue bead, what happens is your silver bead is going to land right there in that gap between the two, the silver and the blue. That's how you know when to add silver, is because it's going to land right there in between the two. Every bead's going to land in between those two from the previous row. So in a way, it's kind of completing that row plus adding the next row.
Ooh. Hi.
Hi.
It's looking really good.
My video?
Yeah.
Oh, was that you that hopped on to watch?
That was me. Yeah. Just wanted
Cool.
to see if you were still on.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a couple. I'm going to turn these into earrings, I think.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do this one more time, like the beginning and end. I'm just not sure how I want to end it. What I want to put on these earrings. There we go. So if you watch closely, that bead I just picked up landed right here between these two beads. How am I doing with my tutorial, by the way? Feel free to comment. Let me know how I'm doing with the tutorial. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Like if I can do something better. This is my first one again, so everything's kind of bouncy. Other than that, if I'm moving too slow, moving too fast, just, let me know. If I'm not explaining clear enough. So, love,
Yeah,
how do you think I'm doing?
I think you're doing really good.
Yeah? Is my explanation of what I'm doing good enough?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm asking my husband too. He's in the kitchen. So now we're back at the end and beginning of the row. So we're going to go through. So we're going to go through our last silver of the row. And we're going to go up to the next silver.
Ooh, excuse me.
Sorry, guys. Husband's super tired. He's had a long day. I've had a long day. Well, actually, I haven't had a long day. I've had a lazy day. So, all right. Now, if you watch, so my thread is coming out of the silver bead right here. If you watch, I'm going to pick up my silver bead. The silver bead I have on my needle. Oops. Sorry, guys. That I have on my needle. It's going to land right here between the two beads. Okay, between the two beads. So we're going to take it and we're going to sew through our next up bead. Did you want to put this on my wall for me? In Pages?
I think I just did.
Oh, did you put it on?
No, I didn't. I showed it on my wall. I just tried to figure out how to do it for yours.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to go onto Pages. Your page manager for me.
Here we go. Pages manager.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and sew through.
What the? There we go. Mother's creation.
And see? It fell between the two beads. So each bead you place is going to go in between. This, you can do so many different designs with so many different so many different patterns with this. Like different pattern looks. You could probably do like a leopard look or a cheetah, like make like spots on there. You just have to know where the bead's going to land, and you have to plan out. I don't plan out that far in advance. I probably should try, but that's just not me. So this is how we do a tubular peyote. I saw a video on how you could do one where you don't have to, it's done flat, and then you fold the project over to create the tube.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
I've seen a project like that, and this is how you can do it with, if you feel like that's too complicated, you can do it this way. I feel like this is easier, but then again, I've been doing this since I was in middle school. How many years was that?
Middle school?
Yeah.
20?
So I've been doing this type of...
more. 25, actually.
I've been doing peyote stitches for 25, like just basic tube and basic flat. I haven't gotten to like all the other cool peyote stuff that I've been seeing. I was like, oh, I wish I could have learned that sooner. I don't know. I'm learning how to think outside the box. I am, and that's something, I've always been one of those, hard. It was hard for me to think outside the box, to do something different. I was always kind of by the book. You do what directions tell you to do. If it doesn't make sense, I couldn't do it. Like in health class once, we were in health class, they wanted us to take these terms together, or take two different terms. I can't even remember what they were, but they wanted us to make words out of them, and you didn't have to look at the meaning, just you pick two words and you put them together to create a new word. And I had the biggest issue doing that. I had a hard time. I actually did not get that homework turned in because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, well, what's why? I don't understand. It was just really hard for me to understand what they were asking for. Even though it was really simple to other people. So thinking outside the box has been a big challenge. But we're getting there. We're getting better, and it's better late than never, right? There we go. So we're going to go ahead and sew through that, and then we're going to go up. We're going to go ahead and step up to the next speed. How's the video been so far, love?
It's been really good.
Like, how have I been doing?
Yeah, you've been doing great.
Keeping my project in there?
Yeah. You tend to kind of float towards the top, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You got to be able to see what you're doing around the camera anyways.
Right. I've been trying to keep my hands steady. How long should I make this? I was thinking maybe either adding some fringes or just adding a drop down. I think I have two more Swarovski blue drop downs.
Yeah, okay. I was actually thinking you were talking about how long you should make the video.
No, I was talking about the earring.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Like an inch or so. Like
Well, can you look how long I have it right now?
yeah. Let me take a look. Scooby.
I mean, you can even go different directions with this. Like, you can make Ys and do like kind of fork split offs and meat on the other side, and I think that's what I'll do with another project. This is just the basic anyway. This is just the basics on tube peyote without crocheting it. As you can tell, I haven't added a center, so this is hollow. The only thing in the center is my tail. So this is a hollow peyote. Most of my peyote stitches do not have a firm center. Of course, you can add a firmer center. So if you have like like a soft round sponge that you want to sew around and decorate, or if you have hair picks or a pencil you want to, this is really, you can do this around that. You just want to add or subtract beads depending on how wide or thin your project is going to be. So
Double your size.
What?
Double your size.
Double my size?
You asked for how big?
Oh yeah, huh?
So double that size that you got right there.
Okay, something's off on this.
Oops.
I'm trying to figure out what's off. So if it seems off, like right here, you should be going into your silver. Sorry, if you're going, you should be going into your silver and stepping up. If something seems off, then it's pretty easy to fix. What I just do, it could be just you added too many beads, or so what I'll do is I'll go back and figure out what's going on.
Tom Berry.
Is at our church. Yeah, you get used to it.
Because I think I might have stepped up too soon, or I think that's what it was. I think I stepped up too soon. So we're just going to have to kind of, I know I keep going up to the top. So I'm just going to quickly take these off here really quick just to save time. You can either de-thread your thread if you want to, or to kind of pull everything out.
Strawberry.
I'm gonna set her Wednesday night at 6 o'clock at church.
Okay, there's where my...
This guy named John is running it. He's been doing it for a long time, and then, had a friend that was teaching him.
Okay, I gotta Dang it. Sorry, guys.
He said, well, how am I gonna learn anymore? He goes, you're gonna learn by teaching.
Okay. Sometimes you just have to de-thread. Sometimes you just have to de-thread. Okay.
So now he's teaching it. He's really good.
You guys can see how I thread my needle.
There's a few other men.
So I take my thread end, you may not be able to see it, but I take my thread end to the very tip of my needle. And then I just kind of shimmy my thread right through the eye. Use my nail to grab the tip of the thread, and voila. Do you see that, love?
It did.
How was that?
It was really cool.
Okay. Okay, I don't think I see. I don't see what's going on. I don't know why I thought I needed to. What's love?
Yeah.
I don't see where I thought I messed up at. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep going. We may end this live here, and then I may pick it up and finish another time, like tomorrow. Do more on this, and then pick up on how to. Oops. So I picked up. That's what happens when I go on auto drive. So we're going through every up bead again. And then you're just going to kind of tighten everything up. So you want to tighten as you go. See, now that laid in place. Okay, I see where. I'm just silly. My eyes are silly. I didn't need to unsew everything.
You know? Yeah, it is all
Up. Yeah, my fingers get caught. Project gets swung around. All right, we're going to pick up another blue. Go through your next silver, which is this one. And go up to your next silver.
Some way, somehow, I'll be hearing somebody.
And then we're going to pick up one of our silvers. Then we're going to just continue peyote by going through our up beads, the beads that are higher up, sitting in our tube.
Thank you. Well, thanks. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, what's going on?
You have.
Something's weird. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and keep going because I'm not sure what's going on over there. Why it does that? But we're not going to make it like super tight because we're going to add the bead down in there.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So we went through and we stepped up. Grab a silver and peyote around.
Oh, yeah. It might bring them into our group, too.
Neither am
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I had a young girl confide in me. She was bringing in.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, there's something off on this. I thought I could fix it going the other direction, or keep going, but yeah.
Every time Alexa sees me, she runs up to me and gives me a hug. Keenan used to do that, but Keenan is gone. I miss her, and I got to meet my niece again after seeing her from the baby. Now she's all grown up and mom grown. Yeah, I'm not sure she's been amazing to me, but really blessed me in that church. You know, it's like, you know, I'd do anything to get back, you know, to God for what He's done for me.
Hold on, guys. Sorry, just
You know, I could never fathom
I gotta figure out why
all the change
my project is doing what it's doing. It happens. I don't do even count very often. Like I usually do more odd count, but I really like the look of the even count. So, I mean, honestly, I don't think there's really a difference between even and odd. It's all preference.
God wants me to be single all my life. I think He does. But, you know, I don't know. It's up to Him. I mean, you know, I was married for 3
Okay.
years. I mean, you know, none of my relationships have ever lasted. So,
So,
I don't.
okay, so right here, I should have a bead right here. Tomberry, stop.
No.
Okay. Pick up a bead, blue bead, and then go through my top two. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get my hands in the same spot. Okay, there we go. Now we're back on track. Okay. Sometimes it's just, for me, it's like the trick of an eye. So I just want to get this done as quickly as possible so I can show you beginning and end. So I'm just picking up my main color and I'm doing peyote all the way through.
Exactly. Oh, oh yeah.
There we go.
Jubas was
See?
a meat market.
Skip. So it's always the last two silvers. Always the last two silvers. If your silver is the beginning and end of your row, it's always going to be your last two silvers. So your last two. So if you're like, well, what bead do I sew through? Just go ahead and sew through your last two silvers because you know that that is the beginning and end of your row. And then you pick up a silver and then you keep going. And I think what happened was I didn't sew through the last two, and that's kind of what threw my count off and threw everything off. So, I personally am learning how to do 3D beading, and I'm learning how to do other jewelry art. I always revert back to peyote because I love, love, love the peyote stitch. I don't know if it's just because it was the first thing I was taught.
Oh yeah.
So see right here, it could get confusing right here because you have 3 silvers in a row. You got 3 silvers in a row. So you're going to skip this silver. So if you're ever confused, you skip that silver. You go through the next 2 silvers to start your next row. So last 2 silvers, always last 2 of your accent. We're going to start the other, we're going to go ahead and start the other earring the same way once I show you how I end it.
Yeah.
Try and keep my hands right here where you guys can see what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
So again, I'm picking up my main color. Oh no, sorry, that wasn't main color. That was supposed to be a silver color. Go through your blue up bead, pull through. I just had a blue fall in there. Actually, if you find any unevens, you can either use it or you can just put it off to the side for a later project, and then pick up one that kind of matches the color that you're using. And then you're sewing through.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go through the last two.
Yeah, I was going.
And you grab a silver bead. And you guys can actually see me end this as well. How I tie off my projects too. So as you can see, you're getting a nice little spiral going. So you can see that nice, beautiful silver spiral. And then again, we're going through the last two silver beads. Oh, I'm 32 apparently.
How old are you?
I ain't telling you, I'm 32.
Let's see.
Shiloh was born in 82. I was born in 83.
She was born in 83, so.
Mom's talking to a friend, telling my friend or her friend about my wild days.
Yeah, gosh, can't be 37.
You want to see how long this tube is, love? And so what we're going to do is we're going to tie this off and we're going to add the earring hook.
Looking good.
What do you think? Is that long enough?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish off this row because I think this is long enough and husband agrees. This is long enough for an earring, a dangle earring. Okay, so how I end these and add my hook. So I got my last bead on there. I sewed through my last two. So my beginning and end bead. And I think what we'll do is we're going to do silver. What do you think, love? Do silver beads across?
Yes.
Where's my earring hooks? If you guys are gonna get to know that, you're gonna get to know me. When you get to know me, you're gonna hear me saying that a lot. Where's my? That's just. I'm always looking for things, you guys. So I guess it depends on how big you want to have your ending. So what I did was I picked up 5 beads. So 2, 4, 5. So it's going to have a nice little dangle from the hook. What we're going to do is our thread is coming out of this last bead here. We're going to go directly across to the next bead. So you see that dark blue bead right there? We're going to go ahead and sew through that dark blue bead, or you can sew through the bottom. It's up to you. I think actually what we want to do is we want to sew through the bottom bead. I think it'll look nicer if we sew through that bead right there. It's between your 2 up beads. So we're sewing through the bead that is below. I mean, it would work either way. It doesn't, I mean, this isn't all by the book. I don't know if I'm ever known to do things exactly by the book these days. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew through my bead, my bottom bead, and I'm going to sew back up and go through come up here. Then I'm going to go through my last row and up through my silver beads to the center. 2, 3. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go right there. Actually, I'm going to go right there. Okay. So usually sometimes, so it creates a nice little hoop. Kind of gives it a basket. I like to call that a little basket arm. Basket case. This is the first thing that came up to my mind. I'm going to grab a little faux crystal. You can use whatever, actually, yeah, you can use whatever you want to use. I just grabbed a cute little faux crystal. You could do a pearl. You can do whatever you want to use. You could do a pearl. You could do faux crystal, Swarovski crystal, whatever you have available. I think this is called a bicone, and I'm not sure the size of the bicone. Just something that fits your project. So let me see. I think I do have. I just have to find it. There it is. Okay, our bicone is approximately 2.8 millimeters, if I'm measuring it right. Or if we go this direction. Okay, so probably about a 4.3 or a 2.8. That way it's 4.3. If we go this way, oops. Sorry. Oh, sorry, 3.7. Okay. So that's about the size of the bicone. Just something small. And again, like I said, depends on your project, how many beads you did around it. Now, of course, if you do a wider hoop, say like 30 beads around, then you're going to want to have something in the center. You're going to want something in the center, and then you can also use a larger bicone or whatever you want to use, a pearl bicone. And now I need my stainless steel ear wires, which are, woohoo, I'm in luck. They're right here. They're not off the side. Some are hiding. Okay, so I'm using stainless steel fish hooks, ear wire. And I think what we'll do is it will either go live and finish the finish the video on, like, I mean, it's going to be pretty easy to do your fringes if you want to add fringes, or if you want to I don't know if I'm going to do fringes on this one though. What do you think, love, I should do?
Do fringes?
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I think so.
What?
I think it's a good idea.
Husband's gonna make me do work.
You don't have to.
So then I'm just gonna pull. So what I did was I sewed through the hoop of my earring, sewed back through my bicone, and I sewed through the next 3 going the same direction I was going before. So we started out with sewing through these 3, picked up the bicone, and sewed down the next 3 all the way across. So we're back at the beginning. We're just going to go ahead and tighten this. And then this is where you can have fun with, you could either do fringes, or you can do what I did up here and add a drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and end this project here, this earring here. I'll probably do fringes later and show you how I re-add string since the string is too small. But I'm going to go over how you start this tube stitch one last time. And again, you want either just enough beads to go across your project, or if you want something with a loop, like you could probably put a pearl right there in the center. So if you want something like with a loop right here, like this one has, you just add more beads. It just really depends. So we're going to go ahead and sew through here. So this is what I do is I go through the thread between the beads. I go underneath the thread between the beads. Pull my loop through, or pull it through to create a loop. I'm going to put my needle through the loop. Oops, sorry. Let's go ahead and make that loop a little smaller for manageability. Okay, I'm going to put my needle through the loop and pull it tight. I'm going to do that a couple times, and then I'm going to hide my tail. What's up?
I was just looking at your salty thing.
Yeah? Oh, I lost my...
Hmm?
I hate when that happens. Did you feel it yet?
What?
My salty thing.
Oh, I picked it up. I didn't like stick my fingers in it or anything.
Husband needs to have some more water.
I'm tired.
Will you get some ice water, love?
Are you?
Yeah, for the room. Refresh the water in the room.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I have to rethread my needle, you guys. Sorry. Give me just... Husband still has Darkwing Duck stuck in his head. The theme song. Okay. Try this again. Okay, so what I did was, you see that string in between? I sew through there.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, but I need to tone. I have to tone. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
that could be what I'm doing.
Oh,
There we go.
actually, I'm not going to be able to
Why?
because all four of the ice cube trays are sitting right there.
Oh. Oh, nice. We don't have any ice. Oh, well. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. You just have to play with the string. So if your hook gets in the way, you just have to play with your string. It'll work itself out. There we go. Okay. Now, so you see that little loop there? That loop of string, this here? We're going to go ahead and put our needle through to the other side of the loop. And then we're going to pull it tight. And then we're going to go ahead and hide our tail. And this is what I like to do to hide my tail. I just sew through a few beads. And then I cut close. Okay. Then grab your scissors. And now you have an earring you can garnish up. You can add fringes, you can add a pearl to the top, or add a pearl to the bottom. So let's do that one more time. Let me show you one more time how we did, how we got that started. Okay, so again, fire line. And then we're going to again, I usually do an arm. As you can tell, that project didn't need a whole lot. So I'm probably just going to do an arm length this time around. We're going to thread our needle. And we'll de-thread our needle first from the short string that we're no longer using. I'm almost done. I'm going to just kind of go through how I started it. And so, okay. So again, I just kind of squeeze my thread between my fingers and shimmy the needle or shimmy the thread into the eye. Sometimes, sometimes if your thread gives you issues, you can either try the other end or you can cut off a fresh end or cut the end and get a fresh start. Okay. Oh, sorry, my needle's like totally spinning around on me. Okay. I bent that too much, so we're just going to go ahead and... That's usually what I do is I cut my top and start again.
Play harder.
There you go. There. Nope, I thought I got it. Dang it, I'm having issues. Sorry, guys.
On Saturdays, I think it's Saturday from 2 to 4, but I'm usually not over there until I go to church and stuff, unless I'm hanging out with Les Yelly or someone.
Okay, there we go. If you have nails, you only need a little bit to come through, or you could use like tweezers to grab that little piece hanging out. Okay. So again, so this size of tube, this is a 10 bead wide tube. We're going to go ahead and do it. You do not need a centerpiece when you have a tube this size. So no solid center. This is an empty tube. It's very flexible. Again, you can make it as long as you want it. The longer it is, the more flexible it's going to be. This one I accidentally made a little too long and it turned into an ankle bracelet. And then I did magnetic clasps. So, but it's the same concept on how I added the bead and the clasp, same concept for the earrings. I know we said we were going to do something similar to that bracelet earlier. I think I said that. It just time and I forgot how time consuming this can be. But it's still a lot of fun. And when it comes to picking up your beads, when you're dealing with a multicolored tube of beads, you just have to turn off your thought process and just go with the flow when you're picking your beads. Kind of like I like to think of it as I go into a little bit of a meditative state where I'm just not thinking about what I'm doing because I already know what I'm doing. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9,
like my mom and her
and 1 silver, so that makes 10.
And when they were kids, they both got it.
We're going to bring it
from somewhere, and
down to our tail.
My mom's baby chick to bed and rolled over and killed it.
Okay, and
So
now,
it's just repeating history.
the reason why we're doing this a second time is because the first time was kind of blurry. Okay, so what we do is we string 9 beads. Or sorry, 10 beads. We strung 10 beads. 9 blue, 1 silver. So now what we want to do is we want to come back to the bead closest to your tail. And you're going to sew through all 10 beads.
Oh, I know what.
So you sew through all 10 beads. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball it because I wasn't sure how many rows I did. So I'm just going to eyeball the length of my project. And then you just kind of sew, close up the loop. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time. Sew around to secure that thread. So I don't have to worry about tying it. I don't have to worry about it coming out. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how thread is like that. You don't have to tie it. You just have to go around a couple, like 1 or 2 times, and it's secured into your loop. Are you watching again, love?
I'm listening to it, actually.
Oh, you're listening? Okay, so we're going to come out and we're going to do the same we did before. So that silver bead, that's going to be our beginning and end. All right, so it should look like this.
Yeah.
Okay, should look like that. Get that tail out of the way. Now we're going to start peyote.
Oh, yeah.
So again, we're doing even count peyote. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a silver bead. So it's going to be our first and last bead. We're going to skip this one. This bead right next to that silver, we're going to skip that. We're going to go through the next bead. So I think that would be considered bead 1. We're going to go through bead 2. So when you're in a circle, I don't really keep count on what is bead 1 or bead 2. I guess it's just up to you. It could be your last bead. It could be your first bead. So we're just going to call that bead 1, and we're going to sew through bead 2. We're going to skip through bead 3, and we're going to sew through bead 4. So we're always going to sew through the even numbered beads. So if you're one of those that are like, I really need numbers, I really need to count it, that bead you skip could always be bead 1. And I wouldn't worry about it at this point. At least I wouldn't worry about it tubing up, going into that tube yet. So now we're going to skip bead 3, and we're going to go through bead 4. Now, if we were doing odd count, we would be sewing through all the odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, and such. And with odd count, I don't think you need to do the step up portion of this. So we're going to go through the next even bead, which is this one. So we skipped 1. We're going through the next bead. Sorry, I know my project, it just gets caught on. I have like corners and stuff my project gets caught on, and so it slips out of my hand. There we go. And you can leave a long enough tail for it to hold on to if you like having something extra to hold on to. And it's perfectly fine for your project to look like this at the moment. This is perfectly fine. This is normal. This is very normal for your project. So again, we're going to stick with our main color for now until we get to the next. Oh, wait, I think I did something wrong. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what? I miscounted my beads. Dang it. Okay, to make life easier and faster, I'm just gonna cut that off and okay, so you gotta make sure you have the right number of beads because apparently I was doing odd. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We want 9 of the main color. So 9 main color, 1 silver makes 10. So you guys get to see this one more time. Okay. And we're going to create our loop by sewing through all 10 beads. And we're going to close that loop up. Now it's up to you if you want to start your peyote or not. I'm personally going to go through all the beads again to secure. You can see that that loop was secured. Like I have to de-thread my thread to get that loop. What is that?
What, the noise you hear in there?
The noise I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's Coco.
Oh. Coco's on the move. We have a mouser, you guys. Coco loves hunting the mice. Okay, so let's try this again. So we're going to skip bead 1 and we're going to sew through bead 2. See, this is what happens when I start counting out loud. So we're going to sew through every other bead. And then after that, we're going to go through with our main color. Because again, we want that nice, pretty spiral. So again, we skipped and we're going through 1. Pick up main color, skip 1, sew through 1. This is beginning peyote, very basic peyote. Hopefully this is easy for beginners to follow. If it's not easy for beginners to follow, I do apologize. I will try and do better at next time. Again, like I said, I'm not very good with tutorials. So now we're going to we're coming up to our last 2 beads we're going to sew through. So which means we're sewing through our last 2, our silver, so our last silver bead and our first silver bead. And this is what your project should look like. Kind of looks like a little bit of a jumbled mess. That's okay. So we're going to go ahead and tighten it a little. Sometimes I take my tail and I tighten my tail and I tighten that. And then we're going to pick up another silver to continue that spiral. And we're going to start sewing through every bead that is higher than the last row, higher than our first row. Okay, you see that? You see where I sewed through? And it's going to create that nice tube. Make sure you're pulling tight. You want this is a tight fit work because then it's going to create that beautiful round tube. So there you go. Another one. And we're going through our up bead. Just do this until we start forming a tube so you can see what we're talking about. And then right here can look like, well, what bead do I go through? You want to skip this bead here, this one here, because that's your higher bead. You're skipping that, and you're going through your next higher bead, your highest bead, which is that one right there. Don't worry about the thread between the beads, because as you pull it and bring it tight, it's going to start cupping and creating a nice, gorgeous cup. This also can set you up for doing so many other wonderful things, like adding a pearl to the center, or, but that's for another time. We're doing something a little more easier to explain. Maybe I'll get into more tutorials. And if you like this video and it was very easy to follow, I would appreciate you guys giving us a thumbs up. If it was a little difficult for you to follow, please leave a comment and let us know what we could do different so it would be easier for you to follow, and I will try my best to make things a little more better. So I picked up my last blue for this row. We're going to go through the last two silvers. Going through the last two silver. And we're just going to pull. Sometimes your tail wants to get in the way. If it does, just simply find where your tail's at and pull it out. There we go. If your tail's too long, you can just cut off whatever. I promise you. I mean, it's up to you if you want to go use your tail, so you can create a longer tail and use your tail on the other end by putting your needle back through. I personally don't. Unless if the pattern calls for me to do it. So I picked up a silver. We're going to go through our next up bead. And as you can tell, it's starting to form. It's already starting to form our circle. If anybody has pointers on how to count rows that are watching or that watches the replay, I would love your input. I by no means am not a master beader. I'm just a girl that's freely beaded since middle school, off and on. Just recently, I decided to pick up beading more professional and just see what comes of it and have fun doing it. So when your beads, so let me show you. When your beads decide to do something wonky, and they look like there's 3 in a row and you're not sure what bead, just remember you're doing a peyote stitch and it's every other bead. So you look at what bead your thread is coming out of. Your thread is coming out of this bead here. So that means you're going to skip this bead. You're skipping this bead. And you're going to go through the next bead. This one is supposed to be your up bead. So if it ever gets a little wonky on you like that and you're like, the first few rows are always going to be a little challenging, a little wonky, sometimes a little confusing. Just remember you're going through every other bead. It will form that beautiful circle like we did before. So again, going through my next bead. And the next. And here we are kind of at the end of the row.
Yeah. It would be nice.
So, so I was right. With odd count, you don't have the step up. You do not have to do step up. You just keep going every other bead. You keep going. And we'll do an odd count peyote in the future. We'll do an odd count peyote tube. And I'll show you the difference between the two. So now we're going to go through our last two silvers. So this one's pretty easy. When you get to the end, you pick up your main color, you go through your last two. It should be given, no brainer. It's always going to be your last two. If something doesn't look right, you can always unstitch and kind of restart your last two rows to see where it looks funky. There we go. And then we pick up a silver bead. And now, because we did our step up by going through the last two, we start our next row.
I tell my dog to cuddle, and he lays his head on me and cuddles me. Yeah, he cuddles. He's my cuddle puppy.
And I'm just going to go every other. And you can tighten it up as you go, or you can make sure it stays tight. But see? That nice round tube look.
Okay, you take care.
All right, guys, that is how we do that. I'm going to end it for the night because for us it's getting late. I hope you have fun with this project. Happy beading, everybody, and we will see about doing another tutorial on how to bead. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on flat peyote with pattern. These are a lot of fun, and also loom beading is a lot of fun. I actually had to watch a tutorial how to do the beaded toggles, and I did my beaded toggles slightly different because I don't have two of the same color or two different sizes of the same color like the tutorial had. So this one created a different, just because I did things a little differently. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. We will chat, or wonderful night. We'll chat with you all later. Bye.
Is she